We're going to hand out some Eagles offseason grades to see how the Birds fared following the NFL draft and NFL free agency. Before we get started, though, and go through all of the departures as well as the additions, I want to hear from you down in the comments section right now, Bird Gang. Grade the Eagles offseason. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know in the comment section. Share those thoughts. So you first take a look at the Eagles' key offseason additions, and I think Howie Roseman did a really good job this offseason in free agency, and then we'll talk about the draft a little bit later. You lost some players that inevitably you were going to lose, right? Because they were going to get big paydays and secure the bag in NFL free agency. That's the realistic livelihood of when you make a deep run, you get to the Super Bowl, some players are going to want to cash in. So Howie Roseman had to be fiscally and financially smart, as well as savvy with some of these contracts, and bring in some players who you're expecting to maybe get good bang for your buck, exceed expectations, and maybe they end up producing, and then they go elsewhere to get paid like some of the players who left the Eagles this offseason. So Rashaad Penny comes in as a backup running back. Greedy Williams going to have an opportunity to resurrect his career. Terrell Edmunds at safety, most likely going to start. Justin Evans, a good depth piece at that safety spot. And then linebacker Nicholas Morrow. For Rashaad Penny, he's a physical back. Anytime he's been on the field, he's been able to produce for the Seattle Seahawks. Unfortunately for him, he has dealt with a bevy of injuries to start his career. But when upright and on the field, guy can be a physical bell cow back, kind of like what LeGarrette Blount gave this team in 2017. For Greedy Williams, has pedigree. Second-round pick out of LSU back in 2019. He actually was pretty good 2 years ago. And then last year, that Browns defense was a mess. They fired their defensive coordinator. I actually think Greedy Williams can surprise a lot of people, and it's going to help him in the secondary, given that the Eagles have a really good defensive line to generate pressure on the opposing quarterback. Terrell Edmunds, up and down tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers as a former first-round pick out of Virginia, and he showed some flashes of being a good safety. He's more of a box type. Sometimes you can take advantage of him when he's playing on the back end, but I like it on a one-year cheap contract. For Justin Evans, revived his career last year. He missed parts of 3 seasons after being a second-round pick because of all of these problems he dealt with the torn Achilles. And for Nicholas Morrow, a classic Howie Roseman signing. With the Raiders, solid player. With the Chicago Bears, solid player. Last year, after some injury questions, he was able to prove that he could stay healthy, was a tackling machine. I think he's going to be about as good as Kyzir White, if not a little bit better. His mom, by the way, watches the show. Key offseason additions, part 2. Marcus Mariota as Jalen Hurts as backup. Jason Kelce, the legend, back for another season. Basically on a year-to-year basis at this point. Fletcher Cox, another Eagles legend. Brandon Graham, you can say the same about him. It's pretty cool that Kelce, Cox, Graham, and Lane Johnson, for that matter, who signed a contract extension, have all been with this team from 2010 on. They're going to go down as some of the best players to ever don the midnight green. James Bradberry back. A little bit of a surprise for him. Thought he was going to get paid massively in free agency. And then Howie Roseman. Day 3 of the draft, trading for DeAndre Swift. What if I told you you could have had just Bijan Robinson, or you could have had Jalen Carter and DeAndre Swift? I'm taking the latter. For Mariota, good scheme fit. Massive drop-off when Jalen Hurts went out last year. Gardner Minshew is good for like a game when he fills in. Then you look at the numbers after that, he's not good. And I think part of his struggles with Philadelphia just wasn't a good scheme fit. Mariota, Jalen Hurts, if Hurts does go out, Mariota can step in, run that RPO. Jason Kelce, straight-up legend. Whether he's shotgunning beers at the OD in Sea Isle or being one of the best centers, if not the best center of all time, certainly the best center in this organization, guy's going to go down as an all-time great. Fletcher Cox is older. Prior to 2022, lackluster years of production for a couple of years. 7 sacks, though. Going to be more of a rotational piece this year. I like it. Had bigger offers elsewhere. Did return, though, for a hometown discount. Brandon Graham, career-high 11 sacks. Came off that torn Achilles. Had the best statistical year of his career, and it came when he was older. Coming off the torn Achilles, with less snaps. James Bradberry, top flight cornerback number 2. I understand. Valentine's Day card from Juju Smith-Schuster, the holding penalty that I'm still bent about, but he's a top flight cornerback 2. Cornerback 1, I don't think so. Didn't work out when he was cornerback 1 for the New York Giants. But when you're playing opposite of Darius Slay, I like him as a cornerback number 2. And for DeAndre Swift, he's a baller. He led all running backs in yards per touch last year. I think he's actually better than Miles Sanders as a runner, but also he's a better pass catcher than Miles Sanders as well. Before we continue to move forward, go down, hit that subscribe button for year-round coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles. You see, we're approaching 50,000 subscribers here on the show. When I took over the channel last year, a little more than a year ago, we were at about 30,000. So awesome growth in less than a calendar year. Let's continue to grow and go Birds. Eagles draft hats available thanks to our friends at Fanatics. You can get yours right now. Chatsports.com/Eagles draft. I copped mine. I think it's one of the best designs that we've seen from these draft hats in recent memory. They're called draft hats, but it's an Eagles hat. Come on, support your squad. My free agency grade for the Eagles. You lost Javon Hargrave. You lost TJ Edwards, CJ Gardner-Johnson. We're about to go through that list, so just hold on one second. But the free agency grade, I like the value signings. I like what Howie Roseman was able to do as far as the players he brought in. The trade for DeAndre Swift, it's going to go down as a steal. I mean, you gave away draft picks that nobody really cares about. As for those aforementioned departures, Javon Hargrave, 4 years, $84 million with the San Francisco 49ers, 11 sacks. The pressure right now going to be on Jordan Davis. CJ Gardner-Johnson, I really don't understand why he talked bad about the Eagles last week with Kay Adams. The Eagles offered him a multi-year deal. He didn't take it, so they moved on. Like, that's how business goes. But he's going to be a big loss for sure. Tied for the NFL league lead in interceptions last year. TJ Edwards, according to Pro Football Focus, one of the highest-graded linebackers in the NFL last year. Good for him as a former UDFA to secure the bag, $12 million guaranteed. Kyzir White follows the stiff Jonathan Gannon to Arizona. And then Isaac Seumalo. It's going to be up to Cam Jurgens to replace him. Look, he deserved a contract as well. And all these guys got more money than what the Eagles were going to pay them outside of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. More key departures, Gardner Minshew going to vie for a starting role with Shane Steichen and the Colts. If not, he'll be the backup to Anthony Richardson, AR-15. Marcus Epps, the other starting safety that the Eagles lost, he got a nice little payday from the Las Vegas Raiders. And good for Miles Sanders. The Eagles clearly have devalued that running back position. Sanders getting about $6 million per year. With that, let me ask you this. The biggest loss is going to be who? Let me know. Obviously, Javon Hargrave, a big loss. C.J. Gardner-Johnson certainly in there as well. Then you take a look at the Eagles' draft picks. I think Howie Roseman crushed it in the draft. The value of Jalen Carter at 9, when a lot of people, including yours truly, believe that he was the top 1 to 3 player in this draft class. If he steers clear of some of the character concerns and off-field issues, guy can be an impact player for the next decade. Nolan Smith, I see the bend from the minicamp videos. Dude has Ben coming around the edge. Tyler Steen, he's going to be coached by Jeff Stoutland. He can play tackle and guard. I like the versatility there. Thank God Sidney Brown changed his number from 43 to 21. Just because he solely did that, he's going to have a better rookie season. Kelee Ringo, the value of getting him on day 3 when going into last year, some people pegged him as a top 3-round pick. That's a classic Howie Roseman move. They moved up to take him in that 4th round. Tanner McKeee going to compete with Ian Book for QB3. And then Moro Ojomo, one of the youngest players in the NFL draft. I think he could make the team as a backup defensive tackle. My draft grade, you already know that, right? For those of you who tune into the show, I gave Howie Roseman an A. He knocked it out of the park. Value, talent, need, fulfilled it all. So if you're still rocking with us, real one roll call. We appreciate you. Give me a real one down in the chat. Y'all are the best. Go Birds, EAGLES. No one likes us. We don't care. It's Philly all day, every day.